welcome to our Nisei Veterans Memorial Center Take Leadership Series with Stanford Carr. My name is Deidre Teagarden. I'm the Executive Director here at the Nisei Veterans Memorial Center, where our mission is to inspire people to find the hero within themselves through the legacy of the Nisei veterans. We're so thrilled to have all of you join us this afternoon, along with our special guest speaker, Stanford Carr of Stanford Carr Development. Our Take Leadership Series is a series where we invite leaders from across the state to come on and share with us how they are navigating through this new normal and what we can learn from them. Take, of course, means bamboo in Japanese, known for its strength and resilience in this time of COVID-19. I think that these are characteristics we can all understand and appreciate. Before I introduce our speaker, I just wanted to go through a couple quick housekeeping items. Number one, we will be entertaining questions, so feel free to type in your questions at the bottom of the screen. We'll get to as many as possible. Also, this is in webinar mode, which means you can see and hear us, but we can't see or hear you. So know that your privacy is protected. And like all of our webinars, this is being recorded and will be available up on our YouTube channel in about a week and a half. So we encourage you to rewatch it, check out our other videos, and share these with your friends and colleagues. We want to say a big mahalo to our sponsors who make not only these programs possible, but all the programs here at the Nisei Veterans Memorial Center. Please help me thank HealthMart, Central Pacific Bank Foundation, Maui Health Systems, Maui Sons and Daughters of the Nisei Veterans, TJ's Warehouse, Abbey Carpet of Maui, Say Design, Arazumi Brothers, Munikio Haraga, Mid-Pacific Pest Control, Maui Disposal, Pure Water, the Maui News, and RT Tanaka Engineers. We couldn't do it without their kokua. We also want to let you know that you will all be receiving a weekly Wednesday update email from us. These are just emails to let you know what else is happening here at the center, what speakers we have coming up, and you can unsubscribe from these emails at any time, but we hope you stay connected because you are definitely part of our Nisei Veterans Memorial Center Ohana, and we like staying in touch with you. So without further ado, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Mr. Stanford Carr. He is the president and CEO of Stanford Carr Development, where he oversees an extensive portfolio of projects ranging from master planned communities to resort style living to affordable housing. He is known for building communities on a foundation of family living, the spirit of the islands, and respect for the land. And since 1990, Stanford Carr Development has completed over 5,000 homes and is responsible for some of the most recognizable residential communities in Hawaii, including the peninsula at Hawaii Kai, Kehalani Master Plan, Ivalani in Kapolei, and the Wailea Fairway Villas, and many more. Most recently, he completed Hale Kauvila Place, a 204-unit affordable rental project located in Kaka'ako, and Keaho Place, which is Hawaii's first mixed-use transit-oriented development. Presently, Hale Cavallo, an affordable rental project in the Kaka'ako area, is near completion, and he has received so many awards over the years for his work nationally and locally. He was born and raised on Maui. He has made giving back to the community a core value of his corporate philosophy. He serves as a trustee for the University of Hawaii Foundation. He is a board member for the Rehabilitation Hospital of the Pacific Foundation, Hawaii Council on Economic Education, the American Red Cross, Trust for Public Land, the Chamber of Commerce, Hawaii, Carol Kai Charities, He's also the chair of Move Oahu Forward and board of director for Home Aid Hawaii and board member and former chairman of the March of Dimes. So he is very busy, but we are thrilled that he has taken time from his schedule to talk to all of us today. So please help me give a very warm virtual Maui welcome to Mr. Stanford Carr. Hello.
Dietrich. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much for being here. It's just, it's wonderful to see you. And how's everybody doing over there with the new COVID lockdown?
We're all holding our own. Everyone's anxious to get back to work and get out and about. We've had to make this sacrifice in order to get the numbers down. It looks like it's all working out. And yesterday was the first day of double digits from triple digits cases. So it's encouraging. I hope this will be over soon.
That's good. Yeah, I think we all do. And you just when we think we have it under control, it seems that we have little flare-ups here and there. But I think all in all, Hawaii is doing so much better than the rest of the mainland and rest of the certain parts of the world.
Yeah, we just need to be a lot more conscientious and vigilant going forward.
Yeah. So I have to ask you, when I was doing some background research, I came upon your website, and in the area that normally says, about us, right? You have this great uh, headline on the website that says, "Our reason for being." And you don't normally see that on a corporate on any website. But tell us a little bit about that. Our reason for being. What is that?
Our mission, I started as a home builder 30 years ago, and our mission today is to create, quality residential community, special needs housings, as well as today mixed use oriented development along the transit corridor that will provide long term value. Um, for our communities. And it's not about building housing, it's about building community, utilizing the latest in technology and materials and having a diversity of architecture. Every new project is different, and we pride ourselves that we don't cookie cut projects, that we do the research of the area where we're developing, the history of the land, and weave that history into the community in order for us to celebrate the stories of the history and the mo'olelos of the community and bring it forthright and share that with everyone.
And we have so many wonderful stories. I know you moved from Maui to Oahu in the early 80s, correct? When you went to school.
Yeah, this year will be 40 years. I'm a 1980 graduate of Maui High School, and
All
although
right.
I've been living on Oahu now for 40 years, I like to say I've never left Maui because we've continued to do business on Maui for the last 40 years. We still have a lot of family here and a few homes there. So I still enjoy going to Maui. First stop is, Sam Sato's for dry saimin and barbecue sticks. And my last stop on the way to the airport would be Tasaka Guri Guri.
You can't go wrong.
Can't
I
go wrong.
think those are a lot of people's stops. And maybe if they can make it, they'll go to some Tasty Crust for some pancakes as well.
Oh, yeah. That's the breakfast place there. Yes.
Um, so, talking about stories, on your website too, you talk about the story of your youth and growing up on the farm and how that really shaped you. And I don't know if everybody knows that story. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I had a really great childhood growing up in upcountry, Maui. I have a lot of fond memories there. And my mother was an interior designer, which afforded me the exposure that I had with respect to real estate development and design. But we started a farm and sponsored by the farmer next door, Herbert Koga. And so I worked every day after school, Saturday, Sunday. And what it really taught me was the work ethic, that whatever you do, you need to put into it if you're going to get anything out of it. And there's a lot of correlation of real estate development and farming because you're really subject to forces beyond your control. Growing vegetables is a commodity that you're subject to the downside of the weather, diseases, as well as price fluctuations. But it really taught me the work ethic that is instilled with me till today.
Right. We talk a lot about that work ethic. We talk about the Nisei values, whether it's hard work ethic, Nisei values, those values of aloha. They've really, they've really played a part in your life and, and a part in your success. I think a lot of people want to know a little bit about your success and the fact that you are able to, I was reading an article they did about you back in 2010 with Midweek. And I think you were being honored by the March of Dimes, which I know is very close to your heart. But they were talking about how you give 150% to everything, whether it's your work or your family, the nonprofit community. And, that's how are you able to maintain that 150% giving back? All the
You know,
time.
a lot of that comes with the values of growing up on Maui. It was a very small community where everyone helped one another. If you go to someone's home in New Year's Eve, I mean, they always invite you to come in and eat, but not only that, was pounding mochi. There was a community affair. And there's so many fond memories of events that the whole neighborhood or communities involved in the sharing of food and culture and gifts. Uh, or when people go fishing and hunting, everyone shares those bounties. And for many, I feel very fortunate. I have to pinch myself as to what has been accomplished over the last 40 years, but it's not without a lot of help from a lot of people. I've had many, many mentors, and so it's about giving back because um, without the people that have helped me as well as mentored me and made introductions and opened doors, you also got to do the same for others and afford others the opportunities. So it's all part of growing up and happy to do it.
Right. So, talking about that next generation, do you have interns that work in your office? I mean, do you have a really strong mentorship program?
Yes, we do. In fact, we've got, see, like four younger project managers from the late 20s to mid 30s. Um, the um, the one in his late 20s actually started with us when he was 24 years old. And all he wanted to do was have an opportunity to work for us. And he's done a fabulous job. His name is Kaloa Robinson. He's overseeing Kahoma Village in Lahaina, Maui, and overseeing a project here on Makaha, out on the west side of Oahu. But we've been fortunate to have long-term employees. Our oldest, longest serving employee is our CFO, John Shimugao. He's been with us for 28 years. And there's then about a half dozen people that have been with us for, going about 23, 24 years. So we're all getting old together. But we've got the next generation in their late 20s and mid 30s that we're grooming to, oversee our developments over the next 30 years. It's been 30 years. We're looking forward to the next 30 years as we're planning ahead.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And something that we all talk about is affordable housing, whether you call it affordable housing, attainable housing. The bottom line is we don't seem to have enough. You and your team seem to be building a lot of it on Oahu, but we really need more affordable housing that our local families can afford. Um, without getting really into the weeds, what are the major obstacles and maybe what can we as regular citizens do to facilitate? I mean, what can we do?
So it's a lot of it has to do with the unintended consequences of policy decisions and policy making. A lot of times, with respect to the counties, each of the counties have their own zoning ordinances and policies that they're adopted, as well as on our state level, the State Land Use Commission. Entitling property is a very expensive and arduous process. With that said, with all the years of regulatory overlays, I remember building in Maui 30 years ago, I could get 24 building permits in a day and a half. Today, it probably will take closer to a year. And during that year of striving to get your building permits, you're still incurring a tremendous amount of costs of carrying the land costs, maintaining it, operating, covering your administrative overhead of all your employees. And all of that is, baked into the cost of housing. So I think what we need to look at is peeling back those regulatory constraints in order for us to, expedite and build more inventory. We've got a very supply constrained market, which is reflected in our median rents and median home prices. And a lot of this was unintended, with all good intentions.
Right. So, how do we balance that knowing that we have to build affordable housing, that we want to build affordable housing, at the same time keeping the community that we have and that we treasure? How can you balance these two thoughts? I mean, sometimes developers get a bad rap, and so now they're using new terms like home builders and things like that. But how do you balance that?
We like to do so by building a diversity of housing. We build from the very low income, like the Halekewalo project that you referred to earlier. It's on the corner of Kona and Piikoi in Kaka'ako. It's an 11-story, 128 unit rental community where our starting rents are $657 a month for a 1-bedroom, brand new air conditioned apartment with beautiful quartz countertops,
Wow.
vinyl plank wood flooring. And directly located across Ala Moana Shopping Center and walking distance to Ala Moana Beach Park. And so we're serving households earning 30% of the area median income. And that translates to a single person working at Ala Moana making $25,000 a year. So we're building workforce rentals that serve the community. I like to say that 100% of our residents represent 80% of our workforce. But we don't stop there. We move up the housing ladder to serve households and first-time home buyers that earn 80% of the area median income, up to 140%. And so we try to build inventory of housing that covers the entire spectrum of the housing ladder. And that's just what we do. And we've got the skill sets of 30 years of entitling property and building. We have our own architectural division. We have our own general construction company, but yet most of the time we prefer to third-party GC to work with many of the contractors that we've worked with for nearly 30 years. We do get a bad rap at times,
Yeah,
but
that's it.
on the other side, there's a lot of people that do appreciate for the work that we do as well.
So you can do it. It's doable. Do you feel like there are there others who are doing similar to what you're doing? I feel like you're really going above and beyond when it comes to the affordables, and why is that?
Because we need to build more housing. If not, we're going to continue to see what we've been saying for decades, the brain drain. People fully discouraged of ever having the opportunity of owning a home in Hawaii. It's very difficult of our career opportunities here in Hawaii already. We have all the God-given reasons why people want to live in Hawaii, and many of the reasons why they can't afford to live here. Inherently, we will always have a very high cost of living, being the most isolated islands in the world. But that's something we can address, and I think the way to address that is with housing, because out of everybody's paycheck, the biggest portion of it is going towards their housing needs, and so that's fixable. We just need to do more to build more inventory, which is why we're involved in every part of the legislation from county ordinances through the state legislature, always involved. In fact, this morning, an hour and a half was spent on the Governor's Advisory Council for Affordable Housing, as we're planning on introducing further bills to increase the amount of affordable both rentals as well as for sale, not only for Oahu, but for the neighbor islands as well.
That's fantastic. We definitely need it. So it was difficult to find affordable housing pre-COVID. What about now? What is the market going to look like? What does it look like now? Are we going to be able to bounce back from COVID in your opinion? What do you see?
I am fearful of what lies before us, ahead of us. I've been here since 80, having started in business in 1980 and seeing where the prime rate was 18%. I bought my first real estate in 80, what was it, 84? With a 1-year adjustable rate mortgage, which was 12% back then. I mean, that was the world we lived in back in the early 80s. So you had the recession of the early 80s, the recovery through the late 80s, and then the bust of 90. And 90s is very particular. I refer to the 90s because that was a very long, protracted recession where you actually had an out-migration of an exodus of people that left Hawaii. And it was further exacerbated on Kauai in 92 as a result of Hurricane Iniki. So I'm concerned that the ensuing years we have before us could be, if not as bad, worse than the recession and the downturn of the 90s, which gives me grave concerns. People may not be realizing yet because we've been living in an artificial economy propped up by the CARES Act and further in looking forward to other further federal subsidies, as well as the state recently deploying funds from the CARES Act to help people with relief, but both businesses and with people's mortgages and rents. But the worst is yet to come, because how can we go from 10 million visitors a year to who knows what they will be, and what confidence will there be in the future to be able to sustain all of the small businesses that are the bulk of the employment of our economy here.
Yeah, I mean, it's just horrible to hear every day, some new business that we all love, whether it's here or on one of the other islands, closing. I mean, Hawaii has been talking for years about diversifying away
Yeah,
from the visitor industry, but for whatever reason, we can't seem to do it. Um, is now that time to of course there's nothing that's going to take over the visitor industry right away, but is this a wake-up call?
it is a wake-up call. And bringing that up, in fact, you mentioned Paul Yonamini earlier. Paul is the person that I went out to and reached out to. We developed, in collaboration with the Hawaii Technology Development Corporation, the Hawaii Community Development Authority, a project called the Entrepreneur Sandbox Project, which was funded partially by the Department of Commerce EDA grant and from our state legislature with matching funds. And we completed it in February of 2019. And it's a phase one of an entrepreneur's innovation sandbox project for a place where there's co-working space and technology startups where they can co-work, help one another. And Paul was the one that got the business community to buy in. He actually moved his IT department to the center, encouraged other companies like Servco, Hawaiian Airlines, and other startups that actually got this thing coagulated, is fully occupied up until the COVID coming into play. But this is the beginning, we feel, of Hawaii making the turn and really walking the talk, investing in technology and startups, because there's a platform there that we have, because we got the best and the brightest people right here. We just need to nurture and seed it and make those connectivities to diversify our economy. And being in the campus next to the cancer research and the John A. Burns School of Medicine, I can see a lot of opportunities of interfacing with healthcare and technology, so for some great measurable positive outcomes in the
Right.
future. Yeah.
I love those co-working spaces over on Oahu, and I know that up here on Maui in our tech park, it was HDTC that started a co-working hub as well, and that would be great if that took off a little bit. But you talked about you and Paul being on that committee, Paul Yonamine being on that committee,
Right.
and I feel like when the leaders in the community actually, go out of their way to, for instance, move their tech department to this new center, that, that really says something. Do we need more of that?
That's commitment, and we're fortunate that the business community here do a lot together collaboratively for the future, for the next generation, and always looking at ways how to further diversify and create further opportunities, because you know, we want to keep our kids here, to provide the educated workforce. What are the future opportunities for the business community, and where do we need the curriculums to come into place so that we can train people for the future, so that we can help those locally rise here, much like how William Richardson wanted the law school to be started, and our Governor Burns wanted the School of Medicine to be started here, to provide opportunities for our local families and kids.
Right. And when you talk about the things like telemedicine, that can even be a type of visitor industry stimulus, and making sure that those students that are studying those things now have a job here. But speaking of next generation, what about your family? I have a picture. I'm going to share a screen, the photo of your family, but tell us a little bit about what your family is doing, what your children are doing.
Sure. So I've been fortunate to marry a beautiful woman, local girl from Pearl City, Kathy, for 24 years now. We have our oldest son next to her at Stanford. He's now attending USC. He's in his junior year. This is the night of Dustin's graduation, class of 2020, with the virtual graduation out in the ballpark field of Iolani. He's going to be attending UCLA in 3 weeks. And my princess, our wonderful daughter, Celine Carr, who's now a junior at Iolani. And so I've been blessed to have a wonderful family, and I'm very proud of them, and I'm a lucky man.
Yeah. So are any of them going into dad's business, or are they not sure yet?
They need to find their passion. They need to find what their passion is. And so I told, my oldest says, hey, would it be great? I can come back and take over your company. I go, no, I'll accept your application only when you first graduate from college. And second, you work for a company, at least get a couple of promotions, and then let's talk. So time will tell.
Great. Good. Well, you have a beautiful family, and I know you're involved with I was reading. I mean, you've been involved with their sports, with you know. In
Sure.
fact, you're the one that you're always talking about your family, and it's just so refreshing to see that you have so much time for them. And
Well, it goes by quickly. I mean, it's amazing how fast the decades go by, faster and faster. I was just reflecting upon that how quickly the last decade went by compared to the previous decade. And then you start really looking at, wow, how much more time do we have? And, what else do we need to get accomplished?
we talk a lot here about the legacy of the Nisei veterans, the values that they came back and did so many things based on those values. As your
Yeah.
children are going off to school, do you share with them any specific values, or what are your words of wisdom to them as they embark on this new journey?
Well, I think, our kids, we're a very close-knit family, been involved with all of the sports. In fact, I gave up golfing 16 years ago to coach, soccer, each of them soccer and Pop Warner and different sports. But we're a close-knit family. They know giving back and community service is part of our life and responsibilities and part of our values. And so each of them all take part in getting involved with community endeavors. And so that's instilled in them. And so they're very conscientious about that. And it's a part of their life, much like it's been a part of Kathy and our lives, involved with nonprofits and serving the community.
Yeah, you and your entire family are such philanthropists. Um, as we're facing these odd days of COVID and talking about all the buzzwords of the new normal, I mean, what can we look to the past for to kind
Well,
of help us through today?
well, one thing I say, lucky we live Hawaii. I'm very proud of the fact that Hawaii is such a giving community, and so you've seen the amount of generosity that's permeated throughout our whole state in all of the different endeavors of the nonprofits that have reached out to the community on, picking up food in many different um, neighborhoods that have gone on for months now. And the companies that have been nimble enough to uh, change their business model and adapt to the world that we're living in today and continue to, some of them are actually thriving and succeeding, and but also sharing that successes with the community. And so um, everybody has to paddle their part of the canoe, and we'll get through this. Everyone's got to help out and do their part. We're trying to do the same by keeping the construction industries and the professionals gainfully employed. We have been in full force throughout this period. Our office is in full operations. We've got a few hundred construction workers out there on Maui and Oahu working every day, keeping people gainfully employed. We had purchased a year ago from the state housing agency a portfolio of 1,200 apartments in 6 different properties, and we're reinvesting $85 million that we're deploying into rehabilitating those 1,200 apartments to preserve affordable housing for the next, century. And so we're in deploying those funds, keep people gainfully employed and preserve housing. So with that and what we're planning on the boards in new developments to keep people gainfully employed. So we're trying to do our part.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
We have a question that popped up here. Over your very long career, do you have a particular project that really, touched your heart? And do you have multiple ones, or is there something that just kind of sticks out to you?
People ask me that question, and there's not one particular project because every project's been a different challenge and different endeavor. Peninsula, I take pride in that. It was the last undeveloped marina front property of 43 acres in Hawaii Kai that was actually initiated and started by Henry J. Kaiser. So I always like to say, I hope Mr. Kaiser is proud of what we completed from what he started. I'm very proud of Kehalani on Maui, a 540-acre master plan, because that was quite a challenge. In order to take on that master plan development, we actually had to buy a public company, Seaborough Homes, that was traded on NASDAQ. They did an IPO in '92, and we entered into a stock purchase agreement with the Dock Buyers Group in '98, only to proceed with delisting, deregistering the company, and taking that back private. So that holds a special place in my heart because Kealani was once cane fields where we used to play in the ditches catching crayfish and medacas and swordtails, catching tilapias at the Punawai. So some pretty fond memories as a child. Um, so, and then Keaho or even some of our high-rise rentals, it's very, very gratifying to when households see a brand new apartment building that they can actually afford for these families. It's gratifying to see the happiness that they can live in a brand new apartment, looks like a condominium, and yet only a third of their adjusted gross income is going towards paying their rent, so that they have the, the disposable income to enjoy some of the luxuries of life.
Do you ever get the opportunity to talk to or meet with some of the individuals who get to move into your affordable housing projects?
Oh yeah, I mean, I see them every week. I go to the job site. I go by, visit the apartments, just see how things are being kept and maintained, um, and I'm also very accessible. If you dial our office, they'll go through a directory. If you dial 225, my extension, I'm the guy that picks the phone up. No one screens my calls, so I'm easily accessible. I'm easy to find. 537-5220, extension 225, or email me, scar@stanfordcar.com.
You know, I will attest to that. I called over to the office and I did just that, followed the prompts, and you picked up your phone,
Yeah.
and that's really nice. You know, I know this. Governor Abercrombie used to talk about Mr. Kaiser all the time, and Kaiser did so much for the community. You know, I know that that is kind of off topic, but when you were talking about Kaiser, he really
Yes.
did a lot. He did the and all the was it the Hilton Hawaiian Village where
Hawaiian Village, Kaiser Hawaiian Village. He built the Kaiser Aluminum Dome, which is where it was the home of Don Ho. Yeah, he started Kaiser Permanente, which is located right there on Ala Moana Boulevard, where the Prince Hotel stands today. So yeah, a lot of history.
yeah, and I guess he even made sure that some of those condos that he had at the Hilton Hawaiian Village stayed as condos, and you know he didn't kick the people out of them, allowed them to live there. It's a really nice story that I don't think a lot of people necessarily know, but that's for another
Yeah.
time. But that was nice. Um, Someone wrote in, what are your feelings about the whole rent abatement and those small businesses where their biggest issue is the high rent? And is it, you know, is it landlords from somewhere else that aren't lowering the rents? Or, you know, do you have any personal thoughts on that whole idea of rent abatement for the small businesses during this time?
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, everybody's got to help one another out to survive this. As an owner of commercial properties as well, and we've been through this before back during 9/11. Um, when 9/11 happened, as well as the financial collapse of 2008, we had to help some of our tenants that were hurting in their business. And so I always say it's better to receive half a loaf than none at all. And if you lose a tenant, and sometimes during the course of these events, some companies just don't make it, and that's really unfortunate. But you don't want to lose a tenant because it's going to take you time, as well as maybe additional tenant improvement money, capital, to attract a new tenant in the space. So you've got to work with them. So we take these cases on a case by case basis, depending on their business. Um, we are some of our the restaurants, we order takeout once a week from them. I mean, we patronize our tenants. I'm the lunch runner every day. My most important question of asking Stacy is, okay, where am I picking up lunch today?
Other
And
duties as assigned.
yeah, I mean, hey, it's all good. We make our rounds, patronizing the restaurants and the businesses around town, and spread it out. Um, but with respect to the moratorium on evictions, I think that was an important policy to have in place because it could have been worse. And we'll all survive it. The CARES Act kicked in to provide the $600 per week additional supplement to the unemployment. You've got the governor that just deployed $100 million in rent relief. The city has deployed their program. And so it's been working to, prop up the economy, but that's going to end. and Congress is still playing party politics in order to come out with CARES Act 2 or the HEROES Act. I believe and confident that'll come out, but in due time. Um, However, how do we get through next year? That's going to be the real test, and how much of our visit industry is going to come back and the confidence in people traveling again.
Right. We have
Yeah.
a couple more questions here. Someone wanted to know, do you have any advice to people either looking to buy or sell right now? Do you have any insight?
Yeah, well, you can't beat sub 3% interest rates. I mean, this interest rate environment that we have today is unprecedented. I mean, so now is the time to buy. If you can qualify and buy now. And at the same time, there are, still active transactions going on statewide. I think this pandemic has caused people to reassess their priorities. So there are still people out there buying. Look at Oahu's median home prices. It broke the $800,000 barrier for single family homes. And that doesn't come without, people still having the confidence in buying real estate. Uh, and that's always a mixture of what areas have been selling, but to that extent, still shows strengths in the marketplace.
Okay. Someone else wanted to know a little bit more about the Entrepreneur Sandbox. You said that was an economic development agency grant.
So the Hawaii Community Development Authority, which is the authority oversees the redevelopment of 400 acres of the Kaka'ako district, applied for a grant with the Department of Commerce called the EDA grant. And so it was $3 million. And then the legislature appropriated $3 million. In fact, my classmate from Maui High, class of '80, Senator Gilbert Agaran, and Representative Kyle Yamashita from Maui played an instrumental role in assuring the $3 million matching funds for the Entrepreneur Sandbox project. And we were brought in by HCD and HTDC to be the pro bono developer. They had the funding, they hired an architect, but they did not have a developer. And so this was our community service project to do our part as a volunteer community service to oversee the design, construction, finance, and completion.
Wow.
Entrepreneur Sandbox project.
That was no small feat. No small price tag that you gave up.
But we had to get it done, or we ran the risk of there was a short fuse on the money. So if we didn't use it, we'd lose it, and that would probably hurt us in the future of any opportunity of obtaining an EDA grant again in the future.
Yeah, the EDA grants, they're not easy to get. You have to utilize them. And if you don't, you can be wiped off for the next couple of years or the next couple of cycles. So EDA grants are difficult to get. And, we don't play politics here at the Nisei Veterans Memorial Center, but I must say that we have such a great legislative group up there at the state and also at the feds, and we're really lucky, and everyone seems to work together really well.
Yeah, Maui's well represented, very well.
Yeah, I know you're very involved with that arena, and it's good to know that you're on the governor's various task forces, and I know you also talk to our mayor and the other mayors.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and Senator Roz Baker was a big supporter of the Hope Lodge that was built there in Vineyard, and that is primary for neighbor island cancer patients that come to Oahu, so that they have a place of an apartment off the hospital campus that their family can provide support as they're going through their treatment for cancer here.
Yeah, it's really important. She'd been working on that for for a long time. I know Tyson Miyake here on Maui from Miyake Concrete family, and now the chief of staff for the mayor. He's been very instrumental in that as well. And to see it to see it being built and being utilized. I don't know now during COVID, but I think you're still able to, you're able to do your neighbor island travel for medical. That's just so needed, because it's not just a place to stay, it's all of the support that goes along with it. And I see Sandy Duvashal is raising her hand, I think,
Yeah.
to say, yes.
Yeah, Sandy.
Yeah. Yeah, you have a lot of Maui friends on this Zoom call
How's it,
today.
everybody? Thanks for having me. Wish I was in Maui.
Yes, we do too. Before COVID, how often were you able to get back home?
I'd be there every couple of months or so. Yeah, I mean, we still, my mom was there up until a year and a half ago, and she passed. So I was actually there for some time, caring for. I'd be there at least every week. I'd go shopping. My routine was flying in on a Friday or Saturday or Sunday and stop at Foodland or Whole Foods, go do grocery shopping for her, and then head up the hill and spend some time with her before flying back home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nothing beats family, and nothing beats being home. And you've made so many wonderful places your home, and you've made so many great homes for so many individuals. It's got to be a good feeling.
Yeah, it is. Sure is. I always say, we got to autograph. Society will live with what we do and the decisions we make for the next 100 years. So it's very important that we autograph our work and be very conscientious of what we do.
Yeah, that's so important. And you have colleagues on the mainland as well, but do you feel that Hawaii, based in those values of aloha, it's written in our state constitution. Do you feel like there's really a good understanding about that kind of commitment to the community here in Hawaii?
Oh, definitely. They see the difference. For example, the bond underwriters, when we built Halekauila Place, which I would like to say that it was one of the reasons why the city nominated us for the Smart Growth America Locust Developer of the Year back in 2017 was, it's a mixed use TOD, transit oriented development project, but it serves, workforce housing. But we took it a step further. We actually have a makery within the building, a computer lab with 8 computers. We've got software for a laser router, laser scanners, 3D printers, and the kids, the keikis of the residents of the building, every Saturday learn how to code. They go under the hood of a game called Minecraft, and we pay a professor from HPU a stipend to teach these kids and learn the computer skills, the software, how to code, and they're actually making things with the 3D printer and the laser router, so that they're learning that there are no boundaries to their creativities and abilities. And the whole purpose of it is to give them access and exposure to the software and hardware that they otherwise would not have access to, such as at Royal Elementary School. And this has really inspired, and a lot of these kids have aspired. In fact, one young man is now has a full ride scholarship at Iolani School. So those are some of the successes that are the outcomes of some of our communities. So we're taking
Wow.
that, what we learned from there, and creating a residential outreach program for all of our communities. Because a lot of our households that are renters, eventually through financial literacy, home ownership counseling, can eventually become homeowners. And we hope to see them become first-time home buyers in some of our communities that we're planning right now on the boards. So, and this goes for not just for Oahu, but also on the Big Island.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, that is really out of the box. And are did you and your group, I mean, pilot that idea? I mean, that is really forward thinking.
It kind of happened by accident, the bakery. We got the idea from the Kuhio Park Terrace, but also at the University of Hawaii, their engineering department. And so why not have it here in a workforce rental project? And why not get something going for the kids to get them engaged? And that's how it started. So it has manifested and evolved to expand. How can we raise the entire community, raise the households so that we can help people move up the housing ladder? Because everybody aspires for that. But what we need to do is give them the tools and the opportunities. And sometimes they don't know where to get the resources. So we're collaborating with the Hawaii Home Ownership Center. We're working with different outreach resources. We're actually working now on a program to hire a full-time person because we're starting to get the scale of close to 2,000 units that will allow us to provide that service, because of scale. And so our counterparts in the mainland, they were blown away by what we're doing here. But again, it's a lot different in Hawaii than you have in many other large cities. So, and I
I
think it comes back to the values of growing up here in the islands and coming from a small community, especially such as Maui.
I, I'm blown away by that. I keep thinking of Kevin Costner and build it and they will come. It's more like build it and they will achieve. Uh, you know,
Yeah.
congratulations. That's great. If people wanted to get involved with that, is this, if you have anything literature about it or a website that they can go to, or if
Not
they
yet.
go,
We are actually, I just reached out to a woman that's going to be working on this starting from the beginning of next year. She's fulfilling a commitment through the year end. And then we're bringing her on board to really ramp up with this program. I mean, COVID has put in quite a bit of a damper in our efforts. We had a couple of outreach with our communities. We're going to be implementing it on our property at Kauhale Honokauai in Honokauai, Maui, which is one of the 6 properties we bought from HHFDC, and another property on the island of the Big Island, Lailani. But on the Big Island, we have a 273-acre master plan community that we're collaborating with the state of Hawaii, much like another Kehalani, counterpart. So it'll have a elementary school, neighborhood shopping, and a diversity of housing opportunities from rentals to first-time home buyers in multi and single-family homes.
oh, so you're just a little bit busy.
I like it though; it keeps me out of trouble.
Indeed. Um, we're going to come back to you for some closing remarks, but just want to say thank you so much. We're getting a lot of text messages with questions, and maybe I can send them to you afterwards because we can't get to all of them. I can't believe we're running out of time. I feel like we could go on talking on and on. For those who are watching, again, this will be recorded and put up on our Nisei Veterans Memorial Center YouTube channel. You can check out all of our other speakers that have come before Mr. Carr. Upcoming speakers include Lee Cataluna. She's going to talk about her book, The Folks You Meet in Longs. She's part of our Afternoon with the Author series, and that is actually this Saturday, and we still have some space available. Kurt Matsumoto from Pulama Lanai will be speaking in the next few weeks. Mark Fukunaga of ServCo will be speaking to us, as well as David Lassner with the University of Hawaii. So make sure you stay connected via our weekly Wednesday updates and check out our website at nvmc.org. We chose the most difficult consonants and put them all together, so it's really hard to distinguish, but it's as in Nisei Veterans Memorial Center, nvmc.org. We go there and check it out under what's new, and you can see a lot of the upcoming events. So thank you for doing that. Stanford, I just want to turn it back over to you. Any closing thoughts, words of wisdom?
I've been fortunate to find a passion that I have. It's not work; it's what I get up and do every day. I love what I do, so I'll do it till I'll never retire. It's when I check out of here is when I retire. But I want to, look forward to hopefully soon come back to Maui and see a lot of friends and classmates and you guys take care over there. Be safe, be well, and thanks for having me. I really enjoyed the time here. And by all means, email me or call me. I'm easily accessible.
All right. Thank you again. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. Please give our best to your family and all of your team members there, and good luck to your children going off to school. That's very exciting. To everybody else, thank you so much for being a part of our Take Leadership series today as we spoke and talked story with Mr. Stanford Carr of Stanford Carr Development. Until next time, we wish you all the best of health. Be well, stay safe, and ahui ho. Aloha.